So, welcome everyone. My name is Andrew. Welcome to yet. This is episode 5 of such a wonderful podcast that began at WCA TV here at Studio B. Today I am very privileged to host Jim, and I'm not gonna even say much. You're gonna just introduce yourself and just
That's because you don't know how to pronounce my last name.
yes, I don't know. All right, go for it.
Vershbow.
A force. Oh,
Vershbow.
let me stick to Jim. Let
All
me
right.
stick to Jim.
There you
Yes.
go.
And so could you just tell us just a short brief description of what you do at WCA TV or some of the activities that we're blessed to see you do at WCA TV?
So I am a volunteer at
Yes.
WCA TV
Yes.
and have been for X number of years.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm not even sure how many that is. Someone else is going to have to figure that out.
Right.
I started doing the news
Yeah.
with Rob,
Yes.
and there were still a couple of other anchors in the mix.
When was that?
Again,
I understand.
I don't know. I
Okay.
really don't know. I don't know
Okay.
how long it's been now.
Okay.
Uh, and then it was just ended up being me and Rob
Right.
for a good period of time
Right.
at the old high school.
Right.
And then a couple of years before the move, Maya came aboard, and the three of us have shared the anchor duties
Right.
on two, off one,
Right.
and uh, and that continues to be the way here at the new studio.
Okay. That's nice.
And I also, over the years, have started to do uh, reporting from an event or or a story that Dan might be doing. Dan, the news director,
Yes.
volunteered doing that,
Right.
interviewing coaches
Yes.
as part of a piece on an upcoming season or
Right.
before a big game.
Right.
Moderated things for the city, whether it's a debate
Mm-hmm.
or other good stuff. And then I've also started broadcasting games. So
Right.
we do basketball and
Mm-hmm.
hockey in the winter and football in the fall,
Mm-hmm.
baseball in the spring.
Mm-hmm. And then what's your favorite sport that you like to cover?
To cover, that's a tough question. I like uh, each one of them when I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's a
They all
nice.
take different skill sets,
Right. You don't.
of which I don't have any,
Oh,
but
you must do.
I pretend like I do.
Have you ever dreamt of a sport? You playing a sport? Have you ever dreamt
Of
playing a sport? Any sport?
have I dreamt of playing a sport?
Yes.
Well, I did play sports when I was younger.
So, which kind of sports did you play?
I played baseball and basketball.
Did you love it?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Every kid loves playing sports.
Did you until when did it start dropping? Because
Well, I played baseball in college, and then I played baseball amateur senior leagues here in Massachusetts for a
okay,
number of years,
okay.
and then finally grew up and had a family and stopped playing.
Ah, right. I know. I get. So I'm going to just do a quick dive into we're going to talk about 5 questions.
Okay,
Um, we can say 5 topics.
you're the boss.
Yes. And so the first one is going to be it's going to involve 3 questions, but the whole question is going to read as the newsroom then versus the newsroom now.
Okay.
And the reference is, has journalism lost its soul?
Ooh.
So how has the rise of digital media changed the way news is reported nowadays compared to when you joined journalism?
Well, this is a tough question because we're not nearly. I mean, this is almost more of a question for the big stations than it is for Watertown cable. I mean, what we do.
I'm talking about
y-
your opinion
Oh, my opinion
yes,
of
as like
yeah, it's
someone
changed.
in the news
It's,
area.
yeah,
Hmm.
my opinion from afar is that it has changed quite a bit. And it's like everything else. The newspapers aren't as significant and important. Younger people don't even read newspapers. They might look at it online.
I've never seen a newspaper.
Right there, you go.
I only
Exactly.
saw a newspaper at my school.
Right. So, uh, and I think on TV, there's a certain age bracket that finds the news very important on TV.
Yes.
But the way the news is reported is very quick stories. There's nothing very,
Right.
very deep and long about it because no one has the attention span
Right.
for it.
Oh, and just for context, because the people might say, I know that guy. We read news together. I meant when I came over here. It's I've literally never picked up a newspaper like to actually read it. Like back then, of course, I used to read newspapers, but here it's I don't know where do you often get newspapers to
Every
read
day.
every day
Oh, yeah.
through the mail or
I get it paper delivered every day. Yeah, I'm that dinosaur that still gets the paper.
I had never
I'm the,
actually
I'm
thought
the
of
guy on
that.
the street that gets it. Yeah.
You're serious?
Yeah.
And how does does uh does everyone at home find it okay? Like, yeah, we get newspapers every day.
I, I don't think anyone minds.
Okay, so another question is, do journalists today have more freedom or more restrictions compared to when it started?
Well, I think in one way they probably have the ability to do more because the technology and the ability to go after a story has improved. But I think it's a very PC world,
Right.
so that it makes it very difficult necessarily to get
Mm-hmm.
to do honest reporting. Sometimes you have to be very careful what you say and what you report, and so I would think it's kind of a mixed bag.
You could even report something and uh the odds change and then it looks like misinformation.
Right, right. It can easily spiral in a direction that you don't want it to.
Yes. Um, and talking about that, and when you say that there's a lot of misinformation, right? Um, has that kind of misinformation reduced on the values that are held towards news reporters?
Hmm. You'd have to ask that again.
So in a way of saying that, as more and more, and you can see it also in big news stations, um, there's a lot of misinformation. So not like a statement, but in a way of saying that um, it's very it's wild out there when you're trying to gather and piece together authentic information.
I think yes, I think authentic information is hard to come by
Yes.
because everyone is so careful,
Hmm.
and if they're not careful, then they're getting themselves in trouble. And
Right.
so,
So that was bringing me to the question that um,
plus, I'm not going to get all political here, but
yes.
it's just so horribly messed up. The truth is hard to come by.
Right. And it
Uh,
had to.
so, for those who like it this way, well, I guess they're very happy people. But for most of us, it's just a miserable
Right.
stage that we're in, a
Yes.
very dangerous stage.
Right.
So I'm sure that affects media as well. I mean, look at look at a press conference and
Yeah,
the ability to ask a question and get an honest answer. It's impossible.
it's impossible on either sides.
Mm, right.
Yeah.
And they need to be really informed because that's how it works these days. Yeah, you
Yes.
can ask a very vague question and then you're going to get a very vague answer, or you're going to get an answer that,
Or you're gonna get mashed for that big question
right.
that you ask.
So you really need to know your stuff when you ask the questions because that's the only way to push back.
Information
You
is
really have to
currency.
know it.
Yes, you really have to know it and defend it,
That's right.
and defend it even after 10 years when it is replayed. That you stood for this when
Hmm.
you were piecing together this information as a news reporter.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I was asking the question that um, as more and more of this happens, are news reporters seen more as um,
Puppets.
I didn't say that.
I was trying to help you get finish the sentence.
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask. That how is the rapid um spiraling of, because right now um in the news world or in the media you cannot even tell if this is AI or if this is a real picture I'm looking at.
Right. It's a problem.
And
Crazy.
it's perception, and it can literally take a toll on your life.
I agree.
It because I sat down with Dan one time and I told him that anyone who is in the news world holds the portal to information to the people. You're the one that delivers the information. It's like you're the gateway. They cannot get it from through dreams. They have to go and read the newspaper.
Hmm.
Imagine the people who deliver news to you every day. It's like that's the gateway to your information. So it has to be authentic.
That's right.
That's why I wanted to. It's a thing that I'm trying to collect, or in a way of saying that um, do news reporters sit back and just look at their work and know that this is the digital footprint that I want to leave?
Well, I can't speak for them. I think some are probably more conscientious than others.
Yeah,
Some are just doing the job, and others really care about what they put out every day.
right.
So I think you have to watch them a long enough period of time to know whether or not
Mm-hmm.
it's genuine or not.
And all sites still do get followers or viewers.
Right, right.
Yeah, I understand. And it in a way of saying that, um,
So it doesn't matter if it's local news or
right,
national news,
right.
or there's going to be a group that's just going to listen to what Fox says. There's going to be a group that listen to what
Yes,
CNN says.
yeah,
There's a group that's going to listen to what Channel 5 says or Channel 7, and
and they do have valid reasons.
just the way it is.
It's something nice to ponder about. And so I have another question that's really really directed towards you, right? Um in For the time that you've been volunteering and working with news reporting and going out
Hmm.
and doing all of that, right? Um what what gives you a bigger rush? For example, do you want to fast break news or take time and do investigative journalism?
Well, honestly, I mean, we don't really do a whole lot of either one of those here.
Yes, yes,
Um, we're kind of we're that constant once a week
yes.
because we're not a daily newscast.
Right.
I mean, certainly there's enough going on in the city that you could almost get away with it, but it would be hard to produce.
Yes.
But you could
Yes.
do a 15-minute newscast, I truly believe,
Right.
every night of the week
Mm-hmm. A
on
15-minute
water.
newscast.
Well, at least. I mean, I'm trying to. I don't know that we could do a half hour every night, but I think we could do 15 minutes every night
Right.
if the station ever wanted to.
Right.
Just my personal opinion.
It's just a
Not
personal
because I want to be on the air every night and have everyone get
opinion.
sick of seeing me,
Yes.
but because I think there's enough going on that you could report
And
on
there's a lot going on.
right, which is not necessarily true of every city and town.
Yes.
Um,
Come to think
but
of
we
it.
don't really break news. We kind of just we gather everything together and report it because
Right.
in case people don't see it some other way, there's
Right.
Charlie with the online newspaper, which is awesome, and that's
Right.
one source of news.
Right.
And we're another source of local news. I don't know how else people find out about it. I mean, hopefully they look at either one of those to get some of the
Mm-hmm.
information. So I think that in itself is a good thing. I don't, so it's not as much a rush about breaking news, but
Right.
it's good to know that we're able to provide some people with that information on a
Right.
weekly basis. The question is, are they watching?
Mm-hmm.
And I hope they are.
Mm-hmm. But I know they really do because most of the times you also know it when you go to cover. They mostly say, uh, hmm, "Could you send me some of the footage?" or something like that. Because some of them do watch it, some do not,
Hmm.
or some cannot have access to it, but they really do want to watch
Well,
it.
that's one of the battles is that
Mm-hmm.
uh, you're not on the HD tier. A lot
Coverage.
of people are cutting themselves off of cable and doing streaming only. Now we
Yes.
do offer streaming.
Yes.
So we've tried to make it possible,
Right.
we being the station, a number of ways of making it accessible, which I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's up to people to do it with all the other 500 channels that they have. And
That are
so,
bombarding them in the
yeah,
aisle.
are they going to watch WCATV or are they going to watch Dancing with the Stars? Yeah.
Right. And another thing that I wanted to ask you still, because what Watertown does really is that they really take time in piecing together the information. It's very different from maybe mainstream media, whereby you are covering a war that's happening right on the spot. Whereas here we are doing mostly announcements or upcoming events in the Delhi CATV news.
There is a certain degree of that.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, at times it does seem like we're just reading
Right.
a schedule of when things happen.
Hmm.
But I think you have
Could
to
you
look
paint
a
a
little.
picture for the
You have
people
to
who are
look.
watching?
You have to look a little further. I think
Right.
that we do a little bit more than just that.
Right. Yeah, of course. And for example, some of the
And I don't say that defensively. I just say I understand
yeah.
what you're saying. Sometimes it seems like we're just a calendar.
Yeah.
So I'll read a story about when an event's going to happen, and then Rob will read a story about when an event's going to happen.
Yes.
I'll read an event about
Yes.
something about when it. And
Yes.
some weeks it's that kind of lacking
Right.
something new
Mm-hmm.
or something that's happening,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still important because
Mm-hmm.
it's a vehicle for people to
Yes.
find out what's
Mm-hmm.
going on in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Actually,
as
I
it's
know.
not as splashy as
Mm-hmm. I didn't even know about because the these type of news reporting is more like I look at it as a backbone where it's where we draw the line. According to me, of saying that um at least you WCA TV or the the news stations in the different cities that cover, for example, Watertown or the one in Waltham. I don't know if they have it. I know I'm sure they have it, right?
okay.
Um,
What I'm not sure what the point is you're trying to
the
make.
point is, my question, and I'm going to just read it here, is that what responsibility do journalists all over have to fight fake news and misinformation at any level of
Well, I think they have a huge responsibility, but I don't think
right.
I don't think they're held accountable. I mean, we
Mhm.
don't at the local level. We don't
In
face
terms of ethics,
that
yes,
for the most part. So,
right.
but I think at other levels they should be fighting it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying that it's important that they be so informed and that
Mm-hmm.
they're prepared for when a bogus answer comes their way that they're ready to challenge it, as opposed to like fact checking has become a big thing
Yes.
at political debates. There'll
Right.
be fact checking going on, and
Yeah.
they'll have something up across the screen, or you can
Yes.
go online and see was this afterwards.
Yes.
To me, that's not effective. You need fact checking happening as it's going on,
As it's going on.
so the people that are sitting there watching
Right.
are learning more about the things that are being said
Yes. Because some
immediately.
of them, if you do the fact checking afterwards, there are people who are not doing the fact checking. They're just taking the word as it is.
That's right. Right. So I really think journalists need to do better, in
Right.
my opinion.
Right. For example, if they ask and then um, they're given an answer in that moment, that's when they should be able to, if if need be, push back with maybe with a counter question or
That's right.
an opinion
That's right.
or a fact
Yeah.
or a way of saying, could you prove that? Or
Right.
do you have the statistics to that?
Right. If you ask a question, you need knowledge about what the right answer is.
Because you're a news reporter, you've been covering about that. You've
Right.
done research about it.
Right.
I understand.
Now, news directors might not want that. So maybe they're just instructing their people to ask the questions, and then it's maybe someone else's job to analyze it. I don't know.
Right. But you see, that's some, like I said, some people take news as is at that spot at that moment. And then it just spirals, and you cannot chase after something that's already been said.
Right.
You can't unhear.
Right.
It's really tricky. And then another thing that I wanted to ask about, have you done investigative journalism before?
No.
If not,
No. Because I never worked professionally. I majored in
yes,
broadcast journalism in
right,
college and
right,
intended to
mm-hmm,
have a career in that, and then ended up going down a different path. So
mm-hmm,
I maybe did an investigative story in college as part of a class that I was doing and
yes,
learning the business.
right.
Uh, but
Because I'm
but
trying
as
to,
I've gotten back in the business
mm-hmm,
or gotten the business first time again, it's just as a volunteer, and
right,
investigative journalism has been again maybe interviewing someone for a story that Dan is putting together.
right,
But
and then
the WCA TV doesn't really do that.
yes, my other question was, how do you handle the different um topics that you'll be covering on a daily basis, for example, every Thursday, and just not like, how do you balance both that and your daily work life?
Well, most of the stuff I have to do is after the workday, so
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean this podcast is getting in the way of my work life.
I-
Uh,
yes, I understand. So it's just a
but
sweep.
most of the things that I'm asked to do or get to do
Yes.
and volunteer,
Right.
I happen at night or on after work hours, so that I
Mm-hmm.
can fit it all in.
Okay. What activities, for example, here at Watertown, have you been really um ever since you started them? You've been really looking to doing it over and over again. Like, what part? For example, I used to ask Dan about that question, and then for him, it's covering the actual on Thursday. Like, that's his moment. He does that with passion.
He does, and we're all very fortunate that he's
Yeah.
doing it
Yes.
because I have a brother who lives in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
and he watches the broadcast every week,
Oh,
not because
uh,
I'm on it, because I'm not on it every week, but he
yes,
watches it because he finds it to be very well done, and I
yes,
think it is.
yes. It's very well done.
Uh, so yeah, I totally understand the passion for Dan. You build up, you build up, you build up, you figure out what's going on in Watertown. They cover
Mm-hmm.
so much stuff. They
Mm-hmm.
broadcast so much stuff,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then to be able to put all that together
Right.
and pass that information on to the city, it's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I mean,
Yes.
Watertown's spoiled in many ways in terms of what he does. So this is not supposed to be a Dan testimonial, but I think they do a great job with the
Yes,
newscast.
yes. Also with the editing, there's a lot of editing.
Right.
I did one of the edits for when they were announcing the new buildings that they were going to build. For example, the greenhouses, the
Yes.
it was a lot of editing, and I imagine he does that every
It's hard
week.
because you're always instructed to do film
Yes,
a lot more than you end up needing
yes.
to use.
Right.
That's the old saying, right? So much of it goes to the cutting floor, so to
Yes.
speak,
And
and
then
only
just
a
to
small sliver makes it. But you also save all that, and you maybe use it some other time.
right, right. And
So
then
that's what's so great about the technology. You can
it's so
index it
great.
all and have it and use it at a different
Come
point.
again?
I said you can take all that video and index it and
Yes.
have it at your fingertips to use for
Right.
maybe another story or
Right. You can also use it to maybe do um uh, I haven't watched the end of year clip um the bloopers.
I haven't seen that either.
You haven't?
Well, why would I want to?
I thought you did
Because
watch
the
it.
whole thing would be me,
I know.
making mistakes. So
I mean, it's you should go watch it.
yeah,
And then I had
I
another
already know how bad I am
Oh,
at
you
it.
already know?
So I don't need to see it.
You could watch it in front of your kids.
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
really great.
And then what topics or events are we excited to see in the summer?
In the summer,
Yes.
summer seems to be less eventful in many ways,
Mm-hmm.
quieter. There isn't the high school isn't in session, so there's not high school sports to cover. There's not
Right.
important things that are happening with
Mm-hmm.
uh, school issues.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine as the building gets further and further along, there'll be
Yes.
things to report on this summer
Right.
about the new high schools.
Mm-hmm.
That's a significant story.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be
Um,
nice.
and ongoing construction and further discussions about Watertown Square and who knows what else will come up. So
Mm-hmm.
there's always something.
There's always something.
I don't have
Mm-hmm.
the crystal ball right now, but I
Mm-hmm.
know that there's going to be a lot.
And then you've done most have you because I know you've done a lot of outside coverage, like going out to the field
Hmm.
and then recording, for example, the sports.
Yep.
Do you have any stories that were that really stuck with you? That were really nice or
No, I just think that I think public school sports is
mm-hmm.
a great thing.
Right.
It's I think the kids that participate are very invested
Mm-hmm.
and they care about their community.
Right.
Um, and I think the fact that we cover it is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was just an itch that I had because it was at one time something I wanted to do, which was to be a sports broadcaster.
Right.
And so I get to do that now, and I get to watch the teams play, and
Mm-hmm.
so it works for me.
So
And
I
it
do love it.
hopefully I it helps. Hopefully it helps people who are watching,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just having the game on with no no one's
know when
talking
to.
to broadcast.
Yes,
Maybe there are
yes,
times where they go, "Boy, I
yes.
wish he'd shut up."
Not really. Come
But
on.
but it's fun for me
Right.
selfishly, and I like
Mm-hmm.
in Watertown sports has always been very competitive, and there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of good athletes, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Because I'm trying to paint a picture for some of the kids or the people that that look into considering joining sports journalism or mainstream media or news reporting or news coverage,
hmm
right? Um, it's it's in a way of trying to show them things that they need to just look into polishing. For example, how to network to get where they want to be. Or, um,
well, it's a tough business to get into. I failed miserably, and that's why I ended up going down a different path.
uh-huh.
But I mean, there's a lot of on the other hand, there's a lot of opportunities
All right.
out there. So it's just a
Mm-hmm.
question of how hard you want to work at it. Is my impression.
Right.
Excuse me. I can't say for a fact, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, there's a million games on every night, right? There's
Right.
college and
Mm-hmm.
pros and
Mm-hmm.
women's and men's sports, and
Mm-hmm.
so there are jobs out there, but you got to be good at it,
You gotta be good at it.
and you got to be willing to maybe work in a small market, go somewhere else, and
Mm-hmm. Then go
learn your
big and
craft,
kill
and
on
then
end.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's a nice thing to think about.
but yeah, you have to know the sport,
Right.
and you have to feel comfortable talking about it, and figure out the right way to talk about without just rambling on. You got to figure out the right way to report it so that,
Is it like a niche?
um, like I said, I don't know whether I'm doing it right or not. I feel like so you just kind of learn on the go.
Mm-hmm. And also the people that you find on that path, like you working with Dan and the whole crew.
Well, he doesn't give me any guidance at all. So,
Yes. I'm talking about in terms of if, for example, if someone just um stays in that environment, they would know where to branch off, because some people may want to join sports journalism,
hmm
but they don't even know what type of sports journalism they want to do, or is it do they want to be behind the camera in front of it?
right.
That's what I'm saying. And then I think through the people that they surround themselves with, they would know what interests them.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those answers aren't going to come unless you go to a school for it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get the opportunity to try both.
Mm-hmm.
You might find that you like working behind the camera,
Mm-hmm.
or you might find that you really think you know a lot about it, and you have a good voice, or you have a good way of describing the game, and
Right.
you like doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and some are better at it than others,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, we've all watched sports on TV, and we listen to some announcers, and we go, "Oh, will you be, shut up, or you're
Yeah,
talking
shut
too
up.
much,
Shut
or you're not telling us what's going on, or you're telling us things that we don't want to know versus
Yes.
what we do want to know." And
Right.
so
Mm-hmm.
it's
It's in a way of saying you must find your rhythm,
that's right.
and people must love
Yeah.
it. Okay, and then for there's a question I'm gonna ask at the end. What's your how do you see the future of journalism in the next like couple years?
I have no clue.
That's not a good answer. That's not a good answer, Jim. You have every clue.
I think local news will always be there.
Yes.
Um, I mean, there are more local newscasts, not less, not fewer. I mean, there are newscasts at 4 in the morning, 4:30, 5, right?
Two,
I,
one.
so
And with viewers and listeners.
right. Well, yeah, yeah, because everyone wants to see the weather forecast, or weather's very important.
For the sailor.
I think local news will always have a place. Certainly here. I mean, there's always been a healthy
Uh,
local news
mm-hmm,
market. I don't
mm-hmm.
think that's going to change.
It's not gonna
That's
change.
that's the most important thing for all these
Mm-hmm,
stations. That's for advertising and for a whole lot of other reasons.
mm-hmm.
It's very important.
What are the
That they're not
mainstream
going
media?
away. Mainstream media, yeah, I wonder about. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, read something the other day about fewer and fewer people watch the nightly news. You know, like
Yeah.
when I grew up, it was Walter Cronkite and it was John Chancellor.
Right.
It was the three networks,
Mm-hmm.
David Brinkley, and these classic journalists, and you don't even know who any of these people are, but they everyone got their news from these three, from NBC, ABC, and
Yes.
CBS,
Yes. And
and
then
it was
they
pretty important stuff.
pretty important stuff.
And now fewer and fewer people watch that because there's so many other opportunities.
Right.
And I think there's a certain everyone's lives are very busy,
Mm-hmm.
and some people get kind of lazy about so they can just look at their device and get a headline.
Mm-hmm.
That's the danger, is that they're getting their news in little snippets, and it's not giving them full information.
They're
So
called
then
multiple
they're
distractors.
not informed.
Then, but
No,
they
really,
think they are.
they think they are, but they're not. And I'm not saying that critically. I'm just saying that that's
Yes.
dangerous because if they get that little snippet and it's from one side versus the other,
And they take
it
it the
snowballs.
rest of the day. And then they just they get that snippet and then it drives them through the
Right.
day. And the next day and then the next day.
Yeah.
And it's like a subscription.
Right.
It's very imperative. And then so what's your suggestion to that? How do you solve such
Well, the
what
news is so dreary right now that I've cut back because I need to keep my sanity. But in general, I think people have to figure out a source that they trust, and they have to put a little effort into learning about
Mhm.
important stories that are in the news.
Because we went from hearing the news to now which news should we hear? It's no longer news, but it's actually now which type of news.
That's right, which is sad.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
And on top of that, on top of which type of news, you have to also go further ahead and fact check it, and then also protect your sanity from another type of news that's totally different. And then you must know where you stand in between both of
Very well said.
that.
You summed it all up, and we're all screwed.
And- no, I'm talking about what I'm talking about, especially is give an example of sports, right? Like soccer.
Okay.
Now, and I'm talking about of saying that um and a media company might say um let this person cover this type of sport, but that person has a team that they support, and every time they play, it's especially in the transfer windows. Have you ever? Do you know how crazy it is during the transfer? Like the transfer window is a season whereby um the 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 soccer association allows players to be bought and sold amongst clubs.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's always scouts that are roaming around clubs, news reporters that are getting information on who is being sold to which club,
Okay.
and whose contract has been terminated.
Right.
And it also happens everywhere in every type of sport. And it's in a way of saying you might. I've heard sports that was like this plays in this country, and another station was saying this the same plays in another country, and so you're not even torn between um where they are, but you're like, now who is reporting the right information? What should I believe? It's and it's not only in the sports, it's also in every sector, in every genre, you
Everything.
know.
Yep.
And it's not like you're protecting your sanity in the sports. It's the same mind that's in also in education, also in the health sector, in everything. And it's
Truth is very elusive.
yes. And nowadays it's very fragile.
Yes.
That's the worst part.
Yes.
Like even just talking about news is fragile, and it's very uh,
And news should be above it.
yes. I know, yes, in that way, like news should be news. I mean, it's news,
Right.
not a way of saying who likes me or not, but news is news.
Right.
So it's something that we have really covered, and I just wanted to share this podcast to the people who are watching, just to show a clear picture of um some of the things that go on in WCA TV, and we shall be covering more insights and more topics moving forward. It was just
Yeah. I think there's a place for the station to do more if they so choose, or
yeah,
dig a little bit deeper on
I know.
something. I think
Hmm.
it still doesn't there when in the scheme of things there isn't a whole lot in the city
Yes,
that requires that.
yes.
But if it did come up, I would like to think that the station would dig and give honest reporting of it.
All right, all right. That's good. That's good. So thank you very much, Jim. I still forget how to pronounce your second name. What
That's
is
all right. We'll just say my name's Jim Jim.
it? It is Jim Jim.
Oh yeah.
All right. Any final words to people who are trying to, for those out there that are trying to get inspiration to join journalism? Any word out there?
Well, I'm not going to get any inspiration
Yes.
from me because
Oh, they
because
should. I mean, they should. They can.
no, I don't know what to say.
Yes.
Um, I think it's a fun thing. I love volunteering and doing it, and
Right. As long as it
but
gets you that fulfillment. I love it because it gives me some kind of fulfillment.
right, it does the same for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, I've lived in Watertown a very long time, and I feel like I'm contributing in some small way. I'm
It's a
not
big way.
so I like that aspect of it,
Right.
and I like doing it,
Right.
and so it works for me, and it gets me out of the house a little bit to do something that I enjoy doing.
As
So
it has started getting
it's
to
a
a
good
point,
recipe for me, but it's not necessarily a recipe for everybody.
it is for some of them, which makes enough difference, you know.
Hmm.
But thank you very
But
much.
I just admire the station. I think this, I'm on the board now, and I am happy. I'm honored to be on
Yes.
the cable board, and
Yes.
I think the station is very important
Right.
to the fabric of the city, and
Right.
so I like being able to contribute in some way,
Okay. All right.
and I
Thank
hope
you very
other
much.
people will do it too.
Oh, they will. They will. And we hope you will surely continue doing that as well.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Jim.
All right.
And then for the oh my God, I still have to find a way to close this podcast. I don't know. How do I say it? Close it for me.
Um, play it cool,
Uh-huh.
stay in school.
That's nice.
What do
Play
you
it
think?
cool. Stay in school.
What do you think?
That's a nice one. I'm going to say, play it cool. Stay in school. Bye bye. Thank you very much, sir.